Welcome to another episode of Last Week's Comics Today. I certainly have some opinions on these books this week. So let's get into it, and we're going to start with Predator issue 6. This is the end of the initial Marvel miniseries. There is already, I'll show you this, plans for the next one. I think this is starting in March, April, starting soon-ish. It does seem like a different story, and I'll spoil this real quick. So it ends thusly, which means the story that ends here is set up for future stories, and I'm okay with that. It's more, I have a problem with how this plays out. So our main character seems like she's about 5'6". Seen here, height difference, and then we see her again, and I feel like this is exaggerated, but there's this silhouette shot. Things go horribly, by the way. I mean, that size difference, that's not real, right? That's exaggerated. So anyway, there's a comment she makes earlier. She's our main character. She has been killing predators. She makes the claim 26, which I feel like is a boast, because that can't possibly be true. She's a very sloppy fighter. We've seen her, I think, fight in 3, possibly 4, depending on when you claim one of the fights ended. But we see her fight a few predators in the series, and she's very sloppy. She's very lucky. I don't think you get lucky 26 times. And yes, she has lost a leg. So let's say 25 times, right? To survive 25 predator fights, nobody's that lucky. Anyway, the other problem that I have with this is during this fight sequence, here. Nope. During this fight sequence, I got to this 2-page spread, and it took longer than it should have to figure out the reading order, because these 2 panels here, there's sort of a tangent, and I don't know if this is intentional or not, but this line sort of arcs this way, this line is arcing this way, so they come together in the crease here, and initially I read straight across before coming back down, and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. So it does read in the standard Z form. It's just, this is a problem. That should have been fixed. Anyway, there's a collection coming out for this series in either March, April. It's most recently solicited in previews, and I was waiting until I had this issue to see how it ended, to see if I wanted to get the trade, if it was good enough that it would go on my shelf with some other Predator books, and I'm saying no. I'm saying the main character is unbelievable. I'm saying this doesn't end well enough for me to put this on my shelf. It was a good read. If you like Predator, I do recommend the series overall. It's a good read. It's just not good enough, I think. The next series doesn't seem like it continues this character's story. I may be wrong. It's talking about predators on a preserve and they're being hunted, which also seems interesting. Maybe I'll check it out. But I have problems with the series, so I'm not recommending getting the trade. I don't know. It's totally your call. Up next we have Little Monsters issue 9, and this issue in particular has me thinking about switching this series from single issues to trades. I would have to check. Maybe issue 10 is the end of the arc. Maybe that's where I will draw the line. But this issue is progress on a multitude of stories, and just getting little chunks on a monthly basis. It's a great issue. It's just, I want more. And so I might transition this over to trades so that I get more story at a chunk less often. As I said, a lot happens here. We get some reminiscing, we get some origin story, we get some progress on what was happening in the present with the showdown between the two sets of kids fighting somewhat over a human, and we also get some human story. So there's just a lot packed in this. It's very little forward movement on, as I said, multiple stories, and while great, it's not quite enough on a monthly basis. I want more. So I'm going to see when the arc ends. I'll check solicitations and then make a decision. Dark Ride issue 4. This series continues to surprise me, and I really enjoy it. There's this part here. I'm going to show you this. So these are sort of the park mascots, the park characters get dressed up, and there's something about, so they're kneeling, right? But like a short plague doctor kind of creeps me out. A short wolfman kind of creeps me out. Whatever this thing is, like somehow being small makes them creepier to me, and I don't know why that is. But like a short pumpkin-headed thing, eesh. This page is great. I'm really loving this. All of the monsters that are put in there. It's just awesome. Anyway, the fuck? As I said, surprising things happen here. This is one of the stories where I have no idea where things are going. Ordinarily, you can sort of get a feel where things are going and then make some educated guesses. No idea. This, complete mystery to me. However, I am enjoying the hell out of it. It is sort of a dark mystery. It's not really, I think it's listed as horror, but it's not much horror. It's sort of horror adjacent, maybe. Bad things are happening. I think it's more mystery than it is horror, but whatever. It's good. I don't have to classify it. I'm generally against classifying things, but this is really good. It's on issue 4. There should be a trade coming soon. It's Image. They're really great about putting out trades, so yeah, I recommend it. I guess I'll wait till the end of the arc to make a general recommendation, but I do generally recommend this book. Mary Jane and Black Cat, issue 2. I'm not reading Spider-Man, but there's enough Spider-Man knowledge thrown into this that I feel like I at least have a general knowledge about where his story is at the moment. Felicia is dating Peter, at least from what I've gleaned from this, but she has not told MJ. MJ has 2 kids. I don't think that's been explained in the Spider-Man book yet, but in here there's a comment at some point where they're talking about it's been 6 months, and MJ seems to imply it's been more than 6 months. So interesting things, interesting little tidbits. Anyway, this is very much a heist. It's a Black Cat series. It is a heist, and it's a heist happening in Limbo, and Limbo is not something that I know really anything about. I never read those X-Men books, so this is, I guess I read something at some point, but not like the original Inferno or anything like that. There is a reason why he doesn't have skin. This is also intentional. It is explained. So I'm learning a lot about Limbo, about some of the characters that are in Limbo. There's just a lot of knowledge packed into this thing. The heist does start. There are already problems, as you might expect with any heist. There are always problems. And it's just a fun read. I've been saying this for a long time. The Jed MacKay, Black Cat stuff, it's really fun. I'm enjoying it. Then we come to this, and as much as I really enjoyed that first issue, issues 2 and now 3 are just disappointing. The art is still impressive, however, I do have a problem with the art as well, so we get to where, I think it's later. get to a bat plane. And alright, let me show you this first. There is something extremely creepy about this. Yikes. Just adding zippers to the Joker's face. Here we go. Alright, so this is clearly... It's clearly the X-Men Blackbird, except he's replaced the wings with something Wilson designed, which is just nonsense black shapes. Because that is utter nonsense. I also feel like Wayne is like Trump, just putting his name on every building. There's another point earlier. Just, I mean, that doesn't fly. That can't fly. It's too stupid to fly. Oof. I also think his head is... Look at the size of that forehead. Yikes. So, the story's not great. The art is not as impressive as it once was, and I did correctly guess, at least so far, that the one guy that gets named and has an eye patch, surprise, he's the bad guy. So, spoilers, I guess, if you hadn't already guessed that. At least Nightwing in this doesn't say anything extremely stupid. But I think this could have been done in less issues. I wish it had been done in less issues. If it just would have been like an oversized one-shot, like 96 pages maybe, instead of, I think it's 7 issues this is supposed to be. I think... I don't know. Given Silvestri's schedule and how many years this has taken to put out, how many years ago he started showing penciled art from this, I think someone could have tightened up the story and gotten it out sooner. I don't know. This is... I should probably stop buying this, but I don't know that I will. I'll probably see this to the end and be disappointed for the next 4 issues. And that's on me. Human Target, issue 10, is... I think I've talked previously about not really having read Justice League International, so a lot of these characters I don't know. This, I think, is probably the most Nort I've ever read, and he's really entertaining. It's just like a fun level of, I want to say innocence, but in some cases he knows what he's doing, and it's just really fun. So Chance teams up with Nort for an issue. He learns some things by going to Oa, which is just a blast. And yeah, he learned some things, and it's really good. It's really good. I'm sort of disappointed by a lot of what's in this stack this week. This might wind up getting pick of the week just by process of elimination and everything else not stacking up as well as I had hoped. But we get the sequence here, and I looked at this closely a couple times just to make sure that what was happening was actually happening. These were the preview pages that DC had put out, and you can see he's pouring a glass, he's dropping a pill into one of them, he's pouring another glass, and then he hands a glass to her. So you can see he clearly drank. She puts a glass down, still full, except the full one is then in his hand. She takes the other glass. It also has liquid. So he's supposedly drugging her in the sequence, and I don't think the art quite matches up. So then she's drugged. And then he goes off and he has an adventure without her. I don't know. Like that, I've read that now 4 times, and I still don't really... I don't know. It's nice, the color in there, that you can actually see the pill dissolving. That's a nice touch. But otherwise, I don't think the liquor in the glasses quite matches what the story is saying. Anyway. It's good, it's fun. There's 2 issues left, and I want to see where this goes. Progress that I thought had been made on the story is dialed back the last couple of issues, so it's still It's still a giant mystery about how this is going to end, and I guess we shall see. Lastly, there is Black Cloak issue 1, and I had a lot of hope for this, and I'm very disappointed in it. Firstly, I will say there is a lot of story-wise overlap with the Spire, as far as main character and setting, and even the story. There's a lot of overlap with this. I don't, by the way, recommend The Spire. It was 12 issues, which I think was several issues too long, but this was not great. So, FYI. Don't read this. Don't read this either. It's, at its heart, a murder mystery. We get this, which I feel like I've seen before, and I don't know where I would have, because I don't remember reading a preview for this, but we start with this. And I don't fully understand why we're seeing this. I think this whole first page could have been done better. I think a lot of this issue could have been done better. But this first page is sort of setting... It somewhat sets a tone. It gives you some backstory that I don't think is needed. And I think if you just keep this as the first page, but you label some of what we're looking at, that would be better than what this actually does and says. Because they talk about places in this city, and it would have been nice to have a map, and instead we get this, and we get sort of unnecessary text boxes. So then it starts. I'm just going to go through these first few pages. So we then skip to a lagoon, and I had to read all of this, I think, 3 or 4 times to fully understand it. So, and there's a lagoon, right? Someone comes out of the lagoon, pukes. There's more things coming out of the lagoon. This is the part where I didn't know what I was looking at until much later, and then coming back to this did I understand. We then change scenes, so we're somewhere else now, except we don't get an establishing shot until over here. That is a problem. Because I knew, based on this, the scene had changed, right? The setting had changed. And yet, other than this interaction right here, I'm like, are these two, are they even in the same place? These, right? And then suddenly, I thought maybe the scene had changed again, because suddenly we're now at a coffee shop. Again, no establishing shot. But her backgrounds are white, his are dark, and like, other than this backhand, they're not in the same panel. And like, you could have done this. There's a lot of this throughout the issue. So, this is another one. I didn't even notice this at first, but there's... I should have set a bookmark. Hang on. Here's another one. And this is somewhat so that there's enough room for the lettering, right? But hang on. That's just another example. Look at this. So this... Why is 60% of this panel ceiling? What? And then here it's even worse. So this is one panel. All of this is ceiling. It's just wasted space. Like, the artist is decent. The artist, however, is not a visual storyteller. This is... she doesn't know how to frame her shots. She doesn't know... Yes, Meredith. There are a couple of scene changes that are better handled as far as establishing shots go, but some of the framing in this is just way too high. Like, what is... Anyway. Like this, it's nice. It's a nice shot, right? But then there's so much, just this, where the characters take up 10% of a frame, and this is just nothing. Why? This is a nice panel. I don't understand. So this, I'm saying this, someone should have said, no, redraw this. this sequence, and then some of this other stuff. I don't understand how this got published, how some of these decisions weren't changed before the book was finalized. The story is, again, extremely reminiscent of something that I already read years ago. It is a murder mystery. It's not that... this is not something that I'm adding to my pull list. It's oversized, and I think it should have been scaled down. A lot of this should have been redrawn before it was published. I don't recommend this. It's separately, maybe elements of this are well done, but collectively it's not good. So that is the somewhat disappointing week of comics that I read. How did your week go? I think next week I am not getting many issues, so if you have any recommendations for something I should pick up, let me know. I guess Human Target is getting pick of the week by process of elimination. Yup. Human Target, pick of the week. So that is everything that I got this week. Hopefully your week of comics was better than mine. But as always, I get all of my books from a local comic shop. If you don't know where yours is, you can use this URL to find the one closest to you. Thanks for watching.